Good day, my lords and ladies, and young ones and old ones, and everyone in between. Welcome to our medicine show, and I am the apothecary, Dr. Mulberry, and it's my job to tell you about medicine of my place and my era. Now, I know that most of you are going to say, well, where I live, our medicine is more advanced and there's a lot more we can do. Well, I'll give you that, but I bet we're going to learn something together about the medieval era and the medicine that we have to offer. Now, our medicine was based on ancient Greek philosophies, where we felt that the body was divided into humors, and we had yellow phlegm, black phlegm, we had blood in our body, and the four elements played a very tight control over how our body behaved. So if someone had a fever, we would say that the element of fire was working on them. Some of this was pretty true if you think of the understanding of the time. But one of the things that we got, and we know is correct even to you, my audience out there, is diet. Even myself, the apothecary here, I know that the food that we eat and the things that we consume will affect the health of our body. You might have heard of the phrase, you are what you eat. Well, that is true with us, and it's true with you there as well. What? What? King. The king? Oh my goodness, the king. Oh, sorry everyone. This is my new apprentice. Say hello to everyone.
Hello everyone.
The king, what's wrong with the king? What happened?
The king is sick.
What? Okay, well, all right. We're going to have to get something together. We're going to have to go help. What was wrong?
Oh, oh, I forgot.
You forgot? Oh, okay, well, you know what? What if we were to do our class, and maybe as we're going through the class, something might jog your memory, and we'll remember what's wrong with the king, and we can go help him.
Okay.
Okay, so, well, the very first thing we have to do is we look at what are called signs and symptoms. As a physician, as an apothecary, as a doctor, we look at what our patient is exhibiting. Are they coughing? Are they sneezing? Are they dizzy? Those are things we can look at right away. Was the king coughing?
No.
Sneezing?
No.
Dizzy?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, okay, if we don't see something obvious like that, the next thing we can look at is we can look at skin condition. Okay, whether they're pale, they're sweating, or we can look for a rash. Now, there are some very common rashes that we look for right away to see if it's bugging anybody.
Like, for example, poison ivy.
Oh, yes, very common plant. Watch out for those leaves of 3.
Shortly after it touches the skin,
Yes?
a rash will appear.
Ooh.
Most people develop an itchy red rash.
Ah.
It's blistering.
Ooh.
And if you have blisters and they break open, it will leak fluid.
Ooh, that's not nice at all. No. Okay, did the king have like a rash like this?
Don't think so, no.
Okay, all right. Let's try another one.
Well, here we have chicken pox.
Oh, yeah, the pox. Yuck.
A rash can develop on the skin 24 to 48 hours after it touches the membranes.
Ooh.
Typically, the markings first appear on the forehand and then rapidly spread towards the whole face.
Oh.
These portions are extreme, such as the trunk, and lastly, to the distal portions of extremities.
Oh my goodness, all over the body. Now, did the king's face look like this at all?
Like that?
Yes.
No.
No. Okay. All right. So we know it's not the pox.
Well, lastly, we have boils.
Ooh.
This is the worst one.
Oh, that doesn't look nice at all.
They usually start out as red, tender bumps.
Yeah.
The bumps quickly fill up with pus and growing larger and more painful.
Oh.
And then eventually they rupture and drain.
Okay.
Areas that are most likely to be affected
Yes.
are the face, the back of the neck, armpits,
Ooh.
thighs, and buttocks.
No. Oh, did the king have any of these big red marks on him?
No.
I know. All right. Did the king look like this at all? Was he losing his teeth? Pale skin? sunken eyes.
Scurvy?
Yes, scurvy. Now, scurvy was a very common ailment that we would see with our patients. It was a deficiency in vitamins, specifically vitamin C, and early symptoms would be weakness, feeling tired, especially the arms and legs would feel very heavy and tired. It worsened and caused a hard time for your wounds to heal as well, but it would take up to a month for the symptoms to develop, and I don't think the king's been sick for a month.
No.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we've ruled out all of these symptoms and signs. Next would be, oh yes, urine. Yes. We, the physicians, would ask our patient to give us a urine sample, and we could tell from its color and texture if there was something wrong inside. Did you get a urine sample?
No?
Well, get back to the castle, get a sample.
Right. I'll be back.
Well, we would use what's called a color wheel or a urine wheel, which would have all the listings of the ailments according to the colors, and we would hold the urine up to the sky in the sunlight and compare the colors of the chart to the urine. For example, a nice warm yellow would mean healthy, and we could see that on the chart. Where if we saw something that was cloudy with particles in it, it would tell us that there probably was either a kidney stone, maybe a possible infection, or there could be something wrong with the liver or kidneys themselves. All right. A bright yellow urine could tell us that there might be an infection, or there could be a possibility of dehydration. They're not getting enough fluids in their body. Speaking of fluids, if the urine was clear, that would tell us that their body was getting enough fluid, but it was probably trying to cleanse out, get rid of the excess water in the system. And if the urine turned out to be red, we would suspect that either there was some internal bleeding, possible infection, or in a lot of cases, the person ate too many strawberries or rhubarb for breakfast. Well, yes, okay. What?
Not available. No sample.
No sample. Oh, well, that's all right. Okay, that's okay. If there's no sample, we can still do this. There's nothing wrong with, if we don't have the sample, there's nothing, Oh, great, you found the bandages. Okay, that's our next part. After the signs and symptoms, we go into treatment. Once we know what's wrong with our patient, we must treat them. The most common ailment that we would see with our friends, of course, is injuries. They're out battling swords, axes, fighting, falling off horses, mostly farming accidents. Those pitchforks are dangerous. And they would get a cut. And we would have to treat it by using the bandages.
Oh yeah, I remember those. You're supposed to wrap this, and it's commonly known like to heal it with bandages or poultices.
Oh yes, and a poultice as well. Well, the bandage and the poultice were used hand in hand, and they would actually use them sometimes together. But the most important thing about the bandage was making sure that it was on tight, because we did not want to get any dirt in the wound.
It's sort of like wrapping a gift.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah.
I excel at wrapping.
Oh, well then maybe we should do a little bit of a test. Let's pretend that we have a cut on our hand. I'll wrap my hand, you wrap yours, and we'll see which of us does a very solid job on wrapping up, as you say, a cut. Now, when binding a cut with cloth, it was very important to make sure the cloth bandages were clean. A misinterpretation that people have of my physicians of my era is that the bandages were always dirty. No, we would have clean bandages. In fact, I would roll one up into a nice pad. I put it on the wound. So if my hand is cut, I would put this on the wound here to help block the blood and start the clotting process. I would then take another bandage and I'm going to wrap it around the thumb and down and around over the hand, nice and tight. Tight enough that either I can tuck it in or I will tie it. Now, tucking it in, of course, is easier when you're doing this by yourself. Now, you can see that my cut is really well bound. It's going to be really hard for dirt to get in, and my fingers can still move freely. Let's see how my apprentice has done. Oh.
I think I need more practice.
Yes, practice is a good thing. Okay, it's all right. It's all right. Your first time, you did okay. Well, what was the other thing you mentioned besides bandages? We also make use of
Poultices.
a poultice. Yes, the poultice. Yes, absolutely.
Well, poultices are another way to treat a patient. It's kind of like a potion, except without any magic.
Mm-hmm.
It heals the sick with herbs and oils, and the reason for poulticing are as follows. A, to bring heat to an area.
Oh, yes, heat.
Heat improves circulation, and it allows mobility to the fluids throughout the body.
Yes,
It can speed the healing.
good.
B, to act as a drawing agent.
Oh,
This
yes.
is to suck or to assist the flow of debris or toxins through the openings of the skin. Or C, to hold in contact with the skin herbs. This is beneficial to the healing process.
Ah, yes, I can see you tie it on. It holds the herbs there. Wonderful. Well, see this poultice here? I made this with garlic, dill, and a little bit of oils. Would you like a bite?
No, thank you.
Oh. Well, everything we're using actually is completely edible and organic. Or like this one, I've been mixing up a poultice that involves honey, mustard, and cinnamon.
Ooh, I love mustard.
Well, yes, but I wouldn't recommend eating this one because the mustard I used was extremely spicy. As you mentioned, a poultice uses heat to help draw out the ailments. So we don't want to mess with that. Oh, that brings me to my next part, and that is the idea of bloodletting. If we don't see any signs or symptoms or anything obvious that we can cure with a poultice or bandage, we might go and use what are called leeches. Now, what are you doing? I told you it was super spicy. I told you. It's so, oh, no, that's not what. That's.
Please pretend that didn't happen.
Okay. Why don't you just have a seat, and I'll start this next part. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, well, as I was saying, physicians of our time, we would use leeches, the ones you find just in a river or a lake, and we would use them in what was called bloodletting. That means the leeches we would put on a wound, maybe an infection, and they would suck out the bad blood. That would cause your body to start producing new, healthy, or good blood. And as it was going along, people would sometimes maybe use like crude instruments instead for it, but the preferred treatment, of course, were leeches. And even today, I can tell you, the medicine in your area, they still use leeches to help with infection, help save wounded limbs, also as a way of producing healthier blood.
It's painful. Why would they do that?
Yes, it was painful, but it was a very common practice. The ancient Greeks, Romans, and Egyptians used bloodletting and leeches for so many of their medicinal purposes. The use of leeches was so widely known for healing that there were actually people that would eat the leeches in order to help heal their body.
Who in their right mind would eat one of those? I don't feel very well.
Oh, okay.
I think I have an upset stomach.
That's okay. Okay, you know what? That brings us to the next part, and that is herbal remedies. Oh, let me show you. Yes, I have my chart here. Okay. There are many common herbs that were used for medicinal purposes throughout history. A lot of them are very common, and they're ones you can find almost anywhere. right here I have a picture of an aloe plant. Now, aloe is something that most of you probably have in your house, or you might know somebody that has one growing in their living room. And the aloe plant, when you break it open and use the gel from it, was really good at healing burns, wounds, helping the cuts heal, but it was also used for canker sores on the lips, and in some cases could help with some gum disease issues. Oh, speaking of burns, the other thing people used were snails. The slime from snails was rich in antioxidants. It was antiviral, anti-inflammatory, and actually had an anesthetic and an antiseptic in it. So if you got a burn on your hand or on your arm, rubbing some snail slime on it would speed up the healing. Very cool home remedies. Now, the next one here is, of course, one I know everybody's heard of because a lot of people have it in their drinks, and that is cinnamon. Now, the cinnamon sticks or cinnamon plant, not only was it used as a spice for cooking and eating, its medicinal purposes were great because of its anti-inflammatory properties. It also was able to improve your gut health, and it would help combat flu as well as what was called inner decay of the body. Now, one of the ones that surprises people is, of course, the dandelion. Now, the dandelion is a very common plant, and you'll see it in the springtime all over. Now, its main purpose is it's highly nutritious. That means it would help with anything that was a vitamin deficiency, like if you're trying to fight off scurvy or other diseases. But the dandelion, not only was it nutritious, it actually was able to help fight inflammation. It would help with blood control for sugar levels, and it also helps with weight loss in case you were trying to get trimmed into fighting form for the tournament. Now, number 4, the one we're talking about here, this is dill. Now, you'll look at me and you'll say, dill isn't like dill pickles? And some people, they don't like pickles. But the herb dill was a very strong digestive medicinal plant. That meant if you had an upset stomach, if you had gas issues, the dill plant would help control those. It also helped with fever and cold, coughing. It also would help with some sleep disorders by brewing it into a tea. Now, here I think everyone knows what this one is. And that is garlic. Now, garlic is the most powerful anti-vampire herb that we have, but it also serves a bunch of other medicinal purposes. The ancient Greek and Roman physicians were using garlic as sort of a catch-all. They found that it was able to help boost the immune system. It was able to help with colds and flus. It would help purge out the system. It was also able to help in the blood clotting process to help people heal from cuts or wounds. And finally, we have mint. Now, mint is incredibly common, and everyone probably has had mint at some point in their life. It was common in cooking as well, but from the medicinal side, mint had 2 main purposes. The first was helping with bad breath. Mint would be ground up into a paste, and people could put it into their mouth, swish it around, and spit it out, giving them some fresh breath. But it also is really strong with dealing with stomach disorders. Whether it's an upset stomach, flu, or if you had other things going on in your intestines, mint would help settle things down. All right, it's test time.
No, I'm not prepared.
Oh, it's all right. We have to do this. And don't worry, they're going to do the test with us. All right? So get ready. I'm going to read the questions out and see if you get the answer. All right. If I have a cut or a burn, what could I use to help the healing process? So think about what we said. What herb or other remedies could help with a cut or a burn?
Aloe leaves and snails.
That's correct. The aloe plant, the gel from the aloe plant, and the slime from snails. Good answer. Question number 2. If I have a cold or flu coming on, what would be a really good herb to help boost the immune system?
Garlic?
That's correct. Okay. You're doing great. I hope everybody else at home got that too. All right, let's see. Next question. All right. Okay. I need something nutritious to help fight off things like scurvy or other ailments. What's a good plant that gives me lots of nutrients?
There's a lot to choose from.
Yes, there are.
Dandelions?
That is correct. All right, now this one. If I'm feeling like I have an upset stomach, maybe my stomach is rumbling a bit, I just feel a little bit off and grumbling, what would be a good plant to help settle that down? I know they all know it because they've all tasted it before.
Mint leaves?
That is correct. The mint leaf would do that. That's great. Oh, and your upset stomach. Here we go. Take some mint. Chew it around. And how do you feel?
You know, I actually feel a lot better.
Great. Well, that's it for our lesson on medicine. And did anything jog your memory?
The king.
Yes.
Right, the king.
Yes.
He had an upset stomach. Because he had a spicy meal last night.
That's an easy fix. We can make up a tea of mint, raspberry leaf, throw a little cinnamon in. Oh, we'll have him feeling great in no time. Well, thanks for coming to our lesson, and we better go help the king.
Okay. So, back in medieval times, a practical joke would be to take a chamber pot, which is where people would go to do their business, if you know what I mean. And they would grab something yellow, pretend it's urine, and they would sneaky up on somebody, and they would spill it on their faces. So, you ready?
Oh, all right. Good joke.
What would you do if that was real?
Fire you.
Oh.